Hey, how's it going? Today is 6th of January. It's a new year, and we are taking a look at what kind of opportunities are available out there in the market. And within this video, I'll be taking a look at and potentially it might be new opportunities. If anything, on myself, I would be looking to understand this sector a little bit better. I might be interested in operating within the sector as I see so many different opportunities, and I have such a good understanding to the point where I'm interested because I understand it very well. I'm considering doing something else, but either way, it might be worth covering, right? So I'm gonna be taking a look at press release, so it would be considered a speech, right? The way how it would be structured, right? Where the person would outline kind of strategy on the way, perhaps how he would think about the particular sector, right? So it was done on 4th of January, 2 days ago. It would be considered perhaps speech, and that would be environmental secretary speech at 2024 Oxford Farming Conference. Let's touch on that and try to understand everything what's happening. Environmental secretaries. I think it's a public figure, but just in case, that would be Steve, right? I'll skip last name. Delivered a speech at 2024 Oxford Farming Conference outlining the biggest upgrade to UK's farming scheme, right? So that would be perhaps farming, and that would be finance. It's something myself I'm looking to understand, and I have taken a look at this article, so I know everything that's outlined within this article, but I thought it might be a very important article. And for people out there who haven't never paid attention to those kind of things, it might be worth taking a look at some of those articles and speeches and everything, and how they would be introduced to perhaps strategies that would be outlining how UK in this case would be going forward and progressing into new year, I guess, since that would be beginning of the year, right? I'll skip some information, but I will highly recommend for everyone to familiarize yourself as well as perhaps read some of those letters, speeches, announcements themselves, right? Since based on your personal circumstances, and you yourself or you might need a completely different information, right? Or myself coming into this, I like to bring more attention that opportunities are available out there, and based on my expertise, knowledge, and many years working with different fields, might come in within some of those articles with my own unique perspective, right? So you yourself, you might have unique perspective coming into this, and or based on where you might be within the cycle, and or perhaps what you're looking to do. It might be completely different, right? For many people, just quick note, right? Myself, I'm gonna have to skip some of the words since due to technology, otherwise some of those videos or information would be highlighted, right? So I'll skip that, and because of bleep and the effects of a climate change has illustrated and intended, let's name that Tom, just made this point on the panel. Food security is fundamental to our wider national security. British farmers already produce, as collective in the room will already know, about 60%. Myself, I personally believe it's at a half, so 50%. I personally believe that's where the government's targets are, 50%, not 60. That's my personal understanding, right? So perhaps that's the targets to improve opportunities within the market. I think that's where 10% might be. That's my personal understanding, right? I think that UK would be looking at high-end manufacturing markets, perhaps where they can potentially sell a lot of things with the different markets, very expensive things. When it comes to food, I think the UK strategy is 50, and the rest purchase relatively cheap commodities, purchase those, and keep if they can at 50. So that's my own understanding. So keeping it at 50, 60, perhaps that would be new opportunities for newcomers, right, entering the market. So that's what I personally, this person is referring to. Of the food that we eat and recognize the support our desire to do more, and indeed, since my first week in the job, I have been out and about on our farms, listening to how I can best support you. Great. The person is up there and looking to support every farmers, I guess, which is great. So today, as well as updating on prices in our environmental land management scheme, with an average 10% uplift to unlock more money for these schemes and give more choice about what you can do with more SFI actions made available for better reflect the full spectrum of farming interest. I also want to build more trust between us because of the feedback I have received suggests too often farmers feel the regulatory body start from the position of suspicious rather than on the trust. Okay, okay, okay. So we talk. Oh, my personal understanding, right? So again, I will highly recommend to read this speech for yourself. My personal understanding, there's 10%. We're talking about 10% of entire, perhaps UK's market of 100%. You have 10% of potentially opportunity, and from what I understand, there might be finance there tackling this opportunity, right? And perhaps there's a promising opportunities there. I don't know how successful it's gonna be, just because entire case Sachi would be keeping things at 50%. So it might be a lot of words coming from this person. Then it comes to suspicious. Then that's where suspicious things can happen. Since entire UK Sachi would be 50%, not 60. So I don't know who is trying to play who. And we're looking for trust. Myself coming into this, if I would like to set up number of different companies, right, and those companies to be operated, and or if I would be able to hire British labor force, so everyone can benefit from more prosperity and jobs, nice and easy. Okay, so once that's been done, what and where and what opportunities are is been outlined within this article. Where to set up what farms and what within that region people been doing until now, so expertise might even be there. So how people can come in, set up farms there, and British people can farm their own meat. Great. So how can I accomplish that, given that if that's what they're looking for? Great. How can I accomplish that, right? So there's a massive article, right? And we are taking a look at perhaps food and how food is to be delivered to your table. Perhaps we even can touch on the concepts. Some of those concepts could be 0 mile concepts, so that perhaps from your garden, and depending on what kind of food we're talking about, right? So we are looking to reduce that distance, right? How we can reduce it? So perhaps we should perhaps consider farming locally, great, instead of perhaps importing it. We're progressing from the hard work and dedication of farmers, fishers, and food producers make this country competitive globally. The English sparkling wine, okay, okay. So perhaps exports. We're most likely going to be looking into improving exporting. Sparkling wine, okay. Ciders, great. So there's different ways how we can produce and making English or British more competitive, right? I don't know. It's kind of dividing with English, but I'm looking at the UK as a whole, right? The Scottish smoked salmon, okay. And whiskey, great. Okay, so if I were to be interested in fisheries, expertise when it comes to fisheries might be in Scotland, right? If I was interested in whiskey, based on history, on priests being perhaps in Scotland, right? So that's whiskey, perhaps Ireland as well. It should be there, but either way, let's progress. Welsh lamb, so I guess that's where all the lambs to be produced. I guess this is this person saying that. the Northern Ireland beef. So that's where the beef should to be produced, right? So if I were to set up different businesses, that's has been outlined where those businesses would need to be in order to perhaps to operate effectively. If anything, it might be more of the 0 miles, just overall feedback, right? Perhaps locally, right, within communities, not necessarily within the regions, how it's been done right now. Perhaps it should be zero. So that means it should be very close when it comes to fulfilling needs of dense populated areas, right? So that could be potentially another way how to do it. Since we're taking a look at, from what I understand, 10% increase, right? Which might be, I don't know, because the entire site might still be 50%. So they're talking about a 10% increase. So if we're going to increase production by 10%, there's another concept which that upper class would increase, right? Where people would be making more money, but I don't know if this concept would work. Just because of the prosperity within UK and other regions would increase, and there would be there's something that's happening within China where they would be looking to improve their dietary, right? So currently, China is importing a lot of beef and all other poultry from Latin America, right? So this is what's happening with China, where they're importing a lot of from there, and UK perhaps not looking to import from there if they can. UK perhaps looking to increase production while they're looking to they're keeping the same structure 50%, and perhaps looking to doing, I don't know, getting busy, perhaps doing something, and if they can perhaps exporting, but I don't know if it will work. I don't know if it will work, but either way. Yourself, if you're interested in learning more, have published a course. Within this course, I'm taking a look at different fundamental opportunities that will be important for many people. I have taught myself those things, and I thought might as well share those with others. Those kind of things haven't been teaching in school, so I thought I would take a look and perhaps deliver a course when it comes to 12 different areas. I think that would be the most important areas, and where to begin. That would be potentially how to set targets, how to structure goals, as well as how to structure your budget, particularly if it's not something that you have done previously. You can start with those, or perhaps if you with this course, and perhaps if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and we can take it from there. There's gonna be a video if it's something, or perhaps different formats available. You can purchase it. QR code in the corner, company website below. I can touch on some of the closing statements, right? What, if anything, the UK would do its best, making sure that they won't gonna perhaps import anything if they can from other regions, right? With expansions happening with places like Latin America, right? And production, right? So if anything, they don't want to have that effect on UK's market, right? So since they will do their best making sure that that's not going to have an effect, that's the only thing that I think will happen. 10%, I don't know. I'll reach out to the person that I have mentioned, see if that person would be interested in collaborating and working together, how we can structure that and increase production of something that was outlined right within those regions. Great, I can do it within any region. I personally believe there might be even better cost-benefit analysis that can happen, where we'll be taking a look and reducing perhaps need of traveling. Right, we can even do that, but perhaps there's particular regions where everything would need to be produced at, and expertise might be within those regions, right? I'll try to reach out to this person if it's something that you're interested, but only serious people are gonna send, don't get anyone in trouble, right? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.